now we are live with the Deli Show featuring your host, Deli. And as always, he has a lot he wants to talk about.
That's why I'm not a drummer. So, this election. So, again, I'm just gonna just piggyback on what I've been saying, and I'm gonna make a few predictions live.
Predictions, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Deli predictions. See, if these start coming true, people are going to respect the word of the Deli Show like gospel.
Gospel, that's what I want. I just need apostles now.
Mark just wrote in the chat, Deli confirmed betrayer. He is actually, he's with me to do work. He's with me to talk about...
I was going to sleep.
That's right. He's here with me to talk about his predictions.
Alright, so I guess I looked into Jo Jorgensen because she's third party libertarian, and I can't vote for her. Now when people say, vote third party, I like the fact that she, like, if you go on her website, she shows you, the 168 issues that's basically built around her campaign, and you can basically read it, and you can write agree, disagree, or just neutral. So I did it, and out of the 168, I only disagreed with 55. With 55 issues, but they're pretty big. But I just can't vote for her. She's too much of a libertarian. It just doesn't work. What she wants, it doesn't work. Because the thing is, what is government? What is it? That's the question I feel like no one's asking themselves. Government government is a reflection of our intelligence. It's basically, why don't you see any other animal doing this? They have hierarchies, yes, but why don't you see them forming a government? Why don't you see them writing a body of laws? Because they're fucking stupid. They're animals. They can't do it. But us, because of this and this, we can. And I feel like no one's talking about what I've been saying before, with necessities and luxuries. Which luxuries have transcended into necessities? What's something that we can't go out, we just need to have? Like 30 fucking years ago, the cell phone, okay, that was a luxury. Those big ass fucking suitcase-sized phones, yes, those were a luxury. Because no one, A, could really afford them, and B, people didn't care. People have phones in their house, there's pay phones everywhere. People didn't need cell phones. And people have beepers, but that was something else. But now phones became something different. They became more than what it was. A phone was supposed to be an outlet for communication. It was only supposed to be singular. One way of doing it, if I wanted to get in touch with you, I just called you. That was it. There was no text messaging. There was no going on Facebook. There was no going on Instagram. There was no none of that. So it evolved. And once it got to the point where I was able to smartphones changed the world. Cell phones didn't change the world. Smartphones changed the world. The minute you were able to go on Google on your phone, that's when everything changed. When you were able to look up anything you wanted at any time. That's it, the world changed. Cell phones weren't supposed to do that. That wasn't the idea of the cell phone back in the day. Phone was, okay, I want to call you, you call me, hi Paul, how you doing, whatever. That was it, that was a phone call. That was the purpose of a phone. But now it became something else, it became a fucking computer. And that's where a luxury transcended. I know, walk around New York City, you see homeless people with phones. It's just something everyone has and everyone needs now. Not because of just staying in contact with people, but also it's their source of information. People don't go to libraries anymore. What's the point of a library? What's the point of having the post office? What's the point of having all these things? Not saying, I'm not trying to shit on them, but I'm just saying, what's the purpose of it? Technology is going to continue, is always going to gradually advance. And that's the thing, that's what no one's talking about, the advancement of it. Because look at the situation we are now. We have 2 fucking pedophiles running for president. Not 1, 2. 2 people running for president that fuck kids. But that's okay, though. It's okay. Because, you know, if you're a Democrat, sexual assault doesn't exist. And for Donald Trump, you could just buy your way out of anything. So, it doesn't matter. And people say, you're going to vote Biden? No, I'm not voting for him. I'm sorry. What people don't realize, this election, there's 3 people running in this election. Not 2. And what I mean by 3, I'm not talking about Joe Jurgensen, or Jurgensen, whatever the fucking name is. Biden's 78 years old, and already he's showing the early signs of dementia, or some type of, like, his mental state is collapsing. So you really, okay, let's say if he wins, you think he's going to do 2 terms? Do you even think he's going to do, I'm not even sure he's going to do 1 term. He's going to do maybe 1 to 2 years, and then what's going to happen is, he's just going to be batshit crazy. He just can't do the fucking job. He's nuts. He's going to be he's going to be wearing his shoes on his hands and trying to tie them with his feet. Like, he's going to be fucking nuts. And then what he's going to do is he's going to step down. And then that's when the vice president is going to be president. And this is why the vice president now is probably the most important it's ever been. Because now we see for the first time ever that there's a chance that the vice president might be president. Because people will say, well, you know, we vote for the vice president just in case of an accident. Well, in this case, there might be an accident. Joe Biden's fucking health is deteriorating, and everyone can see it. 40% of Americans believe Joe Biden has fucking dementia. 40%. You think that 40% of people are going to walk into a fucking voter's booth and vote for him? It's like who's going to? How can you go into a voter's booth and vote for Joe Biden at this point? How can you be okay with saying... Because the whole thing is, the idea of voting for Biden is basically, you're voting for the candidate that they think they can turn, who they think they can get to compromise with. That's insane. So basically you're voting off what you think you could do, or basically how much you think you can manipulate this person, or at least strong arm this person into at least changing his policies and his stances on certain things. It's crazy, because instead of voting for someone in which you didn't have to change their minds, like for someone like Bernie Sanders, for example, but I actually I am upset that I supported him, because in my mind he was nothing more than controlled opposition. That's all he was. Because the way he's working, but same thing with all of them, AOC, Omar, all of them, they're all fucking hypocrites. They don't care about you. They don't care about anybody. They just care about themselves. If Bernie really gave a fuck, the first thing he would have done in 2016 at the DNC was say, no, this bitch only cheated me. The DNC, this party, they cheated me out of this election. And that's why I'm taking me and my supporters and we're forming a third fucking party. We're forming a second party, because the Republicans and Democrats, they're the same party. Doesn't matter, it's all the same shit. But no, he didn't do that. Because he didn't want to fucking ruin his political friendships. Because he's been there for 30 fucking years. I think he's been out for, 40, 50 years he's been in politics for? Well, I think like 30 years. I'm sorry, same thing with AOC. That woman's not qualified to be in the position that she's in. And I disagree with the idea when people say there should be no such thing as trillionaires. Why? Because you won't be one? Because you won't think of a product that's going to get you that amount of money, or you don't hold, or you don't have the intellectual depth to come up with a type of product like that? Sorry. There should be any type of people who exist. There should be anything that walks the planet. There should be billionaires. There should be trillionaires. I'm sorry. I'm just sick of all this shit. I'm sick of fucking people going after J.K. Rowling's all of a sudden. Oh, like, okay, I might offend people here, but I don't care. If you're a man for 25 years and you transition into a woman, and then you go and fight women in UFC, or you compete in female bodybuilding, I'm sorry, you're not a woman. You're someone who was born a man and decided to get a sex change. I'm not saying you should be fired from your job. I'm not saying you shouldn't be fucking fully protected under the law. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have every right that everyone else has. So don't get it twisted. But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, a man can't get pregnant. In that sentence alone, people could call me a bigot. But even though it's a scientific fact that only women can get pregnant. But it's okay though that fucking men, transgender women who were men for the first 20 plus years of their life, then get into cage fighting and fight women and beat the shit out of them. That's not cool. That's not okay. It's just retarded. Like the whole thing with the bathrooms, just write bathroom. Fuck gender bathroom, just say bathroom. This is the bathroom. That's all it is. You just make a bathroom. You make a single fucking person bathroom. People wait online. You wait online every day to do everything. You don't have man, female, whatever. Just have bathroom. You know, you see a guy, girl, a transgender woman, transgender male waiting outside. You just say, hey, is this line in the bathroom? They say, yeah, I'm next. Okay, that's it. There's just so many things happening now. It's just like you look on CNN. It's just the one thing to me. This is racist. It's just every time Chris Cuomo or Don Lemon or any type of left-wing news anchors get on TV and they talk about rioting and looters. I don't like the fact that in their mind, when you say the word rioter or looter to them, they automatically associate the word looter and rioter with black people. That's what I don't like. So is that's a form of racism within itself. Like anytime, like if you watch a CNN, Fox, or whatever, anything, it's words, it's language. Look at how they talk. Look, like for example, look, when they were talking about anytime when someone was talking about how they didn't like the rioters and they didn't like the rioting, they didn't like the looting. They supported the protest, but they didn't support the rioting looters. But somehow the rioting and the looting got latched on to Black America, where everyone of all races were fucking stealing shit. But why did black people fucking catch the bulk of the heat of that? That's what I don't like. That's what I don't like at all. But no one's going to say anything about that. No one's going to call Chris Cuomo or any of them about. The reason why I don't shit on Fox, because I don't think Fox is a real source of news. And they know they're not a real source of news. But CNN, on the other hand, thinks they're a real source of news, or at least pretends to be. That's why I go after them more.
What does CNN stand for?
Fucking
Comic News Network.
I don't know.
Clown News Network.
Well, whatever the fuck it is. It's just at the end of the day, CNN is racist and biased within themselves because at the end of the day, the market controls everything. The market dictates what's cool. The market dictates what's controversial. The market dictates what's in, what's not. That's just the way it is. And these media companies don't report the news anymore. They just report stories that's just going to get them the most views. That's going to get them the most money. And most people today really don't give a fuck about the world. They just care about what's happening with them and their lives and what they can control. It's like, for example, why was the fucking Tiger Woods thing again? What was it, like 70 plus days? It was on the cover of the news. Kardashian weddings, cover of the news. Running fake stories about fucking Russiagate. That's a confirmed fake story. No, the one thing that bothers me is when people say, it's like, I don't like when I'll say, it's like, I'm gonna talk about conspiracy theories. I don't like it when, like, people like, okay, you have Gulf of Tonkin incident, you have Operation Paperclip, you have Operation Mockingbird, you have Operation what was it when it was the operation that they fucking wanted to fake a bombing in the 60s, and they were gonna blame Cuba on it. I forgot what the fuck that was called, but anyway, all the four I just said, those are all confirmed things that the government has done. Like MK Ultra, those are real things that the government has done. So somehow these real events have been latched on to the word conspiracy theory. Even though they are proven true, because they are true. But somehow we associate them with conspiracy theory, and that's why conspiracy theory became a dirty word. Because now when someone calls you a conspiracy theorist, what do they think? Flat Earth. You say Sandy Hook, Bigfoot, aliens. Like, they think you're a fucking loon. Because those stories taint the real, I guess, conspiracy theories that are true. Such as the Gulf of Tonkin incident, such as Operation Mockingbird, such as Operation Paperclip, such as Operation... I'm gonna cry if I can't remember this name. Operation Northwoods. Look that up. That was a real... The government won... It was signed off by every Joint Chief of Staff. The government basically wanted to kill American citizens, fake a hijacking, have the plane blow up, and basically blame it on Cuban radicals so they can fucking galvanize the country and basically shift public opinion towards Cuba and have us invade Cuba and go to war. But Kennedy signed off on that. These are real things that the government has done. But again, they get, no, that's not real, it's a conspiracy theory. Well, here's the fucking actual document that was signed by every Joint Chief of Staff in, I think, 1962 and 1963. Or I think it was 62 or 63. So how do you explain that? That's fake. I made it up. Like, I sat home and like someone just made the file up. I don't doubt people do shit like that, but you don't read history books. You don't look at what was going on before and look at what happened after and look at where we are now as a fucking country. How basically all of us have just fucking submitted to COVID-19. How we all just allowed all our fucking free... Here's the one thing most of us have to realize. I talk shit about this country because I love this country. But I love the species more. I love the human race more than I love my country. Because I do believe wholeheartedly at the end of the day, nationalism is a primal idea. To an extent, I feel like it transcends. I feel like once we meet aliens, it's now just going to be a human thing, like a human versus alien. That's just how we're going to revert. It's going to be primal, but we're not going to be hating each other. We're going to be hating, a cosmic being. So that's the thing. You ask people. I'm not saying America's the best country in the world. I've never been anywhere, so I can't say anything. But you ask people who do travel the world, and you ask them, like, hey, like, what are other countries like or whatever? They'll say other countries are beautiful, they'll talk about the bad, the good, and just, but they'll just say how it's great. But then most of them will say, at the end of the day, they love America the most because it has kind of more rights than anybody else. And I'm not trying to sound patriotic here, but the whole thing is, in China, you can't even write a bad article about your government. Russia, you can't write anything about Putin. Think about the two other biggest superpowers in the world. And think about all the shit that they can't do. Comparing to us, the major superpower in the world, where we could pretty much do anything. We're literally a melting pot of fucking cultures and ethnicities. Name me another country that's as more diverse and open than us. You're not going to find it. You won't find it. Yes, America has its problems. America has its problems, but it's not just limited at America. The fucking human race has its problems. And that's the thing. We have to stop trying to make it seem like it's very singular or just one country's problem. You know what I mean? Well, look at Sweden, they have no problem with racism. Well, look at America, they have all this fucking racism. It's not about that. We have to start thinking bigger than that. Like, what is it with our species as a whole? What do we want? What do we need? What are our goals? How we can get to space? What's keeping us from going to space? How are we going to defend ourselves from asteroids? How much money are we putting towards it? 5 million, 20 million? It's not enough. Not enough. But that's the thing. Look at where we are now. You can't say anything. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all these fucking companies didn't think they were going to become what they become. Allowing having presidents, having presidents run campaign ads. They didn't expect that. And that's the thing, you can't say anything now because just people today, they're just ignorant and they just don't read, or they really just don't look at the world around them, or they never talk to someone that has a different opinion than them. Like the same people who can just stop talking to relatives because they have different opinions. I guess the one thing that separates me from everybody else is I realize at the end of the day, any family members that I have that are prejudiced, look at the time they came from. They're all in their 50s, 60s, 70s. The fuck do you expect? They grew up in fucking Gainesville, Brooklyn. They grew up in fucking wealthy Long Island. They grew up in fucking white suburban neighborhoods or white shitty neighborhoods. Or rat-infested apartments. So what the fuck do you think? What do you think that mindset was? You're shocked? Just whatever. What you do is you learn from it. You don't raise your kids that way. You don't instill certain beliefs or certain stereotypes onto your kids. You don't talk a certain way. You don't act a certain way because you don't hold those certain ideals and principles that they do. Because you didn't grow up in that upbringing. Because at the end of the day, you grew up in a neighborhood or you went to a school where there's fucking kids of every ethnicity. Well, that depends on where you live. For me, growing up in New York, at every school I went to, until I got to high school, when I went to school in Brooklyn, there was kids of every ethnic background in my schools. That's the thing. Back in the day, they didn't have that. They did, but kids stayed in their cliques. They stayed within their races. But then now it's not like that anymore. Prison, yes. Here, no. But some places it is. I can't. Some place in the country, people still have those. And I'm not saying old world because it was just yesterday. So it's still. I guess it's still just world thoughts, current world thoughts. You know? At the end of the day, you can just talk to them about it, you know, but you're not going to change someone's mind who's been on this planet for 50, 60 years and had more life experiences than you can ever imagine. Like, you're not going to change their mind. That's the whole thing. It's like, here's the way I look at it. Imagine if, like, your racist parents, right? I kind of look at the statues. Imagine if your racist parents were never racist towards you. I mean, not racist towards you, but they never said any racist shit around you. And you wouldn't know they were racist. But you, for some reason, had certain beliefs or prejudices, but you didn't know why. And that's the thing, but once you realize your parents have certain prejudices or certain views that you would consider old world or just blatantly not true and just ignorant, you're not going to follow in their footsteps and their thinking. And then when you have your kids, you're going to teach them differently. And that's how you end it. Or at least, you're never going to end racism, but you're at least going to quarantine it to a very small corner of the earth eventually. But there's still going to be a small amount of people that's still going to be prejudiced. But also, here's the one thing. There are a lot of hard truths in this world. A lot of hard truths. Like I said one before. Fucking, if you were a man for fucking 30 years and you transition over to a woman, you're not a woman. Or a hard truth. Only a woman can give birth. I'm sorry. I don't believe a transgender man can give birth. No. I don't believe in the gender pronouns. But at the end of the day, if you said, if you were a transgender woman and you said your name was Brittany and you wanted to wear a dress, I'll absolutely call you Brittany. Why the fuck wouldn't I? That's your name. That's what you want to be called. I'm going to respect you as a person. Like, I'll say even he or she. But I'm not saying Z, Zai, Zer. Like, you can't legislate it. You can't, out of respect for you as a person, I'll call you he, she, whatever. But then when it comes to, like, you forcing your bosses to, I'm not saying you should get fired, but I'm saying where it will begin a situation where language is being manipulated and controlled. I feel like now it's a problem. You know? It's getting bad. It's getting very bad. Because now it's just, you can't say nothing about anything or anyone. Even though it's just hard, it's just hard truth. It's like you just, like for example, it's just, we should just get rid of Asian kids were not being allowed into Harvard because there's just too many of them.
Affirmative action.
No.
No, this is the legal. I was reading about this. This was in my schoolwork, actually.
Oh, really? What they say?
Affirmative action. It's when you save seats for certain minorities, so that there'll be there's a guaranteed diversity.
But the problem,
as they say.
But that's racist with the affirmative action.
Right. It is. It's racist with itself. And you want to know what's funny too? In the assignment, it asked me, because it was about ethics. It was in a business class, and the second chapter was about business ethics. And they said the question. I was I was doing homework, and there was a question, and it was like affirmative action is, and it had me choose from either illegal and unethical, legal and ethical, legal and unethical, or illegal and ethical. And the correct answer was affirmative action is legal and it's ethical. And I got it wrong because I got that one wrong.
See, that shouldn't even be on a quick. See,
It didn't even. Yep. And this is college education. I paid money for that.
Well, it's like, fuck those kids, right? No, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm saying like it's
literally. I mean,
no, it's like fuck those It's like fuck those kids that work their entire lives to get into Harvard, but because there's too many Asian kids and fucking Asian families are very strict when it comes to fucking work. It's a different culture.
That's right.
That's the difference.
That's part of
That's
the
what people are
culture.
not understanding. That's the hard truth of it.
But college wants all cultures. They want all cultures.
Some cultures care more about education. Some cultures care more about. Okay, here's the best way to say it. Like, for example, in Western societies, we favor the young more than the old. Where traditionally in more Asian, in more like Eastern countries, like Eastern located countries, like just say like Asia or whatever, they favor. What's wrong?
None. We're gonna end soon, all right?
They favor the elderly more than the young. It's all about culture. Certain cultures just lack certain things. Well, certain cultures. Here's the best way with affirmative action. It's basically saying that you have race A, B, C, D. And you're saying that, let's say, now the four races have to come up with a problem. There's a problem, they have to solve it.
Right.
Now you're saying all these people here, with their knowledge, won't come up with a good solution because race E is excluded. So it's saying, like, for example, it's just like, let's just say if you have let's say you had a black guy, Hispanic, Asian, and Middle Eastern guy. These are the four races. And they're coming up with a problem. And basically, now what affirmative action does is basically say, now you have a white kid named Mark. Now, their solution to the problem is not going to be good because they don't have that white kid Mark in it. That's just pretty much what it means. You're taking in race. It's insane. It's nuts because it's just like it does more harm than good. Because at the end of the day, we're not picking people who are best qualified for the job. And it's fucked up that those kids from Harvard who studied their asses off their entire life were told, no, you can't come to our school because there's too many of you. What? Aren't these kids could be doctors to cure diseases worldwide.
I don't know if they do it in medical school. It might just be used in the university setting.
But I'm just saying, like,
which is one of the reasons I feel like people don't take it that seriously.
No. The reason why people don't take it seriously because people don't take it seriously. I'm not saying I ever was, but I'm just saying most people don't take it seriously. We're never fucking smart enough to get into Harvard. They weren't smart enough to go to fucking any Ivy League school. So that's why they don't give a fuck, because they didn't happen to. And they don't know why they also don't care. They're probably fucking prejudiced. Because it's like, oh, fuck these Asian kids. You know what I mean? It's fucking smarter. They go to any college they want. That's probably their mindset. But no, at the end of the day, if you think about it, that's fucked up. That these kids busted their asses off their whole lives, and they were told, no, you can't get into school even though you have all the fucking grades to make it. It's because your culture, Asian culture, just has higher standards when it comes to education and schooling and studying. And we're going to punish you for it. It's like, what the fuck is that? How is that fair? How is that fair to those kids? It's not fair. It's not fair to anybody. It's not fair to anybody if you have the qualifications for a job and you don't get it because they need. But now here's the thing. There have been people who have the qualifications for a job and didn't get it because people didn't like what they look like. That's a fact. So I'm saying is now at the end of the day, what we do is we get rid of everything across the board. You don't have to show race or nothing on anything. For jobs, schools, nothing. But then again, if people say, well, the kids don't have the grades, then we have to look, it's a bigger problem then. Then what is the problem? Then it's like, why are all the Asian kids going to Harvard then? It's just, what is it? Why is there not enough white kids? Why is there not enough Hispanic kids? Why is there not enough black kids? What is it? And then you have to look at it. It's fucking culture. It's culture. How many parents do you know? It doesn't matter what it is. How many kids do you know have parents that were strict when it came to education? Like, these kids couldn't go out immediately after school, came home, did homework, weren't allowed to leave, studying 5, 6, 7 days a week to get to med school, didn't really party, didn't do anything. Kids who had parents on their ass. I know probably that many. Comparing to fucking kids who just parents weren't really tough on them. That didn't force them to study. That didn't say, no, you're doing this, you have to do this. But then again, all that, again, but now here's the thing. The flip side to that coin is a lot of fucking kids in Japan are killing themselves. Because they put so much pressure on kids for the national high school test that they have. Kids kill themselves and people work overtime. They don't pay overtime because they believe that then it's your job. Like, you should want it to be perfect. Like, when they see people sleeping out, like, people sleep on, like, bus stops, on benches, regular people in suits. And that's considered, like, an honorable thing because they look at it as you're working your ass off. You've been working so much that you fucking fell asleep outside. Good for you. You're a go-getter. You're a hustler. That's how they look at it. But it's different. It's all about different cultures, man. And that's the thing. And instead of being ignorant to all of it, we should embrace them all. But we're not. But we're too busy pointing fingers. You're the reason for crime. You're the reason why fucking my kids can't get into the school. You're the reason why fucking my family's house couldn't fucking foreclose. You're the reason why my dad's dead in jail. You're the reason. You can just point. You're the reason why my dad lost his job. There's so many fucking things you can blame. But it's what is it?